Today I'm going to show you how to insert footnotes for your Chicago format paper. The best format option for Chicago format is to use Microsoft Word. So what you're going to do is when you are in Microsoft Word, it is going to look like this. You don't want to use Google Docs when you are using Chicago formatting because Google Docs does not print it off correctly and you cannot do the footnotes the way that Chicago format wants you to do them in Google Docs. So when you are typing your paper in Microsoft Word, which is free to download for all Liberty students, let's say I'm typing it and it looks something like I have on your screen here. Mitrovica, a city located in the southeast of Kosovo, has an ethnically divided population. Albanians reside in the southern portion, while Serbians live across the river in the northern part. The most recent fatal violence occurred in 2004, which left 8 Albanians dead and 300 injured. So let's say after that sentence, I want to insert a footnote. So what I'll do is I'll put my cursor after the period there at the end of that sentence. I will go up here to the top where it says references, and I'll click on that tab. And within the references part, there is a button that says insert footnote. If you click on that, what it will do is it will put a raised number 1 at the end of the sentence for you. It'll add a line at the bottom of the screen for you, and it'll start that footnote number 1 there for you. And then you'll start typing. John Hamilton, the history of Kosovo, place of publication, let's say it's New York, HarperCollins, and it was written in 2019, and I got it on page 64. Okay, so let's say that that's my first footnote. If we go back up to the paragraph, let's say for some reason I would need a footnote for this next sentence. Today, more than a decade after the war, the two sides still stand in stark contrast to one another. Again, I'll put my cursor after that period. I'll go up to that references tab and click the insert footnote. And it'll put a raised number 2 up there for me and a number 2 down here. And again, I'll type, let's say, John Smith, a history of Europe, Boston, Globe, let's say Globe Publishing, 2011, and I got it on page 32. Now there are a few more things that you need to do in order for these footnotes to look like Chicago formatting. The first thing is that they cannot be raised numbers. So you want to highlight the numbers. If you go to the Home tab up at the top, okay, you'll see that superscript button, okay, that raised number button up there. If you click on that, it'll make your footnote a normal size number. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that for both of my footnotes. Okay, now I need a period after my footnotes, after the numbers down there. Okay, and the first line of every footnote needs to be indented. So if I put my cursor at the beginning, right before that number, and click tab on my keyboard, it'll tab over that first line of each footnote. I'm gonna do it for my second footnote as well. Now there needs to be a space in between that line there and your first footnote. So I'm going to put my cursor before the number 1 and click return on my keyboard. And that will give me my space. And then in between each footnote, so footnote number 1 and footnote number 2, there also needs to be a space. So I'm going to put my cursor at the very end of footnote number 1 and click return. And that'll give me a space between footnote number 1 and footnote number 2. Okay, now obviously I need a little bit more formatting here because this needs to be italicized, the titles of my books. So I'm going to go up here and click the italicize button, which will italicize the names of my books. I'm going to do that for both of my sources because they're both book sources. Then what I also need to do is this needs to be Times New Roman font. So I'm going to highlight that and go up here and make sure that it is Times New Roman font. So this is what your footnotes should look like. If they go on to the second line for some reason, so let's say footnote number 1 for whatever reason was going on to the second line. So I'm just going to do that. Okay. If it goes on to a second line, that second line of your footnote is not indented. Okay, it's just your first line of the footnote. That should be indented. Okay, so that's a quick and easy way to do footnotes in your Microsoft Word.